Empires of Europe 1100 is a total conversion mod for Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord that rebuilds the entire game around real history. Instead of Calradia, you get an actual map of medieval Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and the Eastern Eurasian steppe set during the era of the First Crusade in the early 12th century. Every kingdom, culture, and character is based on real historical states and real historical people, making this one of the most researched history mods available for the game. The scale of the mod is massive. At launch, it shipped with 19 custom kingdoms, 95 historical clans with accurate banners, 221 lords modeled after real historical figures, and 13 high-level playable cultures. Since then, the mod has kept expanding. Optional sub-mods like Empires of Europe 1100 Expanded add another 16 kingdoms, over 100 new clans, and more than 500 additional lords, filling out regions that were originally left empty, like parts of the Holy Roman Empire, the Iberian Peninsula, and Eastern Europe. Playable cultures now include Frankish, Nordic, German, Berber, Turkic, Irish, Arab, Byzantine, Slavic, Outremer, English, Hungarian, Italian, Turco-Persian, Polish, Scottish, Sicilian, and Spanish, with Armenian and Persian cultures folded in through later updates alongside new territory in Persia and Cilician Armenia. Each culture isn't just a reskin. It comes with its own gameplay bonuses tied to its real historical strengths. The Byzantines, for example, get cheaper caravan construction and their armies lose less cohesion over time, reflecting their administrative and logistical strength as an empire. Cultures further north or in forested regions get combat and movement advantages suited to their terrain, while others get economic bonuses tied to livestock, trade, or garrison costs. This means the culture you pick at character creation actually changes how you should play, not just how your character looks. Troop trees have been completely rebuilt around real historical military units instead of generic fantasy soldiers. You'll find Normans, Cathars, religious inquisitors, Murabit Blackguard warriors, Andalusian cavalry, and Vlach light troops, each modeled after actual medieval fighting forces from this period. Combat feels grounded because every unit you're commanding or fighting against is based on documented armor, weapons, and tactics from the 12th century rather than invented lore. One of the mod's signature systems is the Crusade and Jihad mechanic. Instead of one massive army marching across the map, Holy Wars now spawn multiple smaller armies that move and fight independently, mimicking how real crusading forces operated in waves rather than a single unstoppable horde. This creates a much more dynamic and chaotic version of the historical conflict between Christian and Muslim powers, and it ties directly into the mod's custom battle module, which adds more variety and control to how these encounters play out. The world itself feels far more alive thanks to new custom scenes built specifically for this mod. Villages, towns, sieges, tournaments, and hideouts all received unique visual overhauls, so locations don't feel like reused templates from the base game. Mercenary clans have also been reworked to stay loyal to their religious or historical factions, with some remaining independent, adding another layer of realism to how alliances and hired swords behave across the map. Performance and stability have been a constant focus for the development team. The mod's file size has been trimmed down significantly over time, currently sitting at around 4.5 gigabytes, which is a notable reduction considering how much content is packed in. The mod is also compatible with Bannerlord's War Sales expansion through a dedicated compatibility patch, and major updates have been built to remain save game compatible whenever possible, so longtime players don't always have to restart their campaigns from scratch. For players who want an even more dynamic world, there's an optional add-on called Snowballing Kingdoms, which allows AI-controlled kingdoms to naturally expand and add new clans as they conquer territory, instead of staying static for the entire campaign. This means the political map genuinely shifts over time, kingdoms rise and fall, and joining or building your own kingdom has real long-term consequences instead of playing out in a frozen world. Now, let's talk about the major factions you'll actually encounter and fight. The Byzantine Empire sits at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, a wealthy and administratively powerful state still recovering influence in Anatolia after years of conflict with the Seljuk Turks, while also dealing with Norman aggression from the west. Their military strength lies in organization and logistics rather than raw numbers. The Seljuk Turks and related Turkic powers control large territories across Anatolia and into Persia, representing a serious military threat built around mobile cavalry and steppe warfare traditions. To the south, the Fatimid Caliphate governs Egypt and parts of North Africa, bringing Arab and Berber military traditions into the mix, along with distinct infantry and cavalry compositions shaped by desert warfare. The Crusader states, including powers like the Kingdom of Jerusalem and other Outremer territories, represent the newly established Christian footholds in the Holy Land built by Frankish nobility after the First Crusade. These factions are constantly under pressure from surrounding Muslim powers and rely heavily on heavy cavalry and fortified strongholds to hold their ground. Western Europe is represented through major medieval powers like the Kingdom of France, the Holy Roman Empire, England, and various Iberian Christian kingdoms fighting the ongoing Reconquista against Muslim-held Spain, home to Andalusian forces and remnants of Almoravid influence. Norse and Nordic factions bring naval raiding traditions from the north, while Slavic, Polish, and Hungarian kingdoms round out Central and Eastern Europe with their own distinct troop compositions and cultural bonuses. With this many real historical factions all interacting on one map, every campaign plays out differently depending on where you start and who your neighbors are. Fighting the Seljuks feels completely different from fighting Norman knights or Fatimid soldiers, both in troop composition and in the political web surrounding each conflict. Combine that with the culture-specific bonuses, the crusade and jihad system spawning multiple armies at once, the real historical troop trees, and the constantly expanding roster of kingdoms and clans, and you get a Bannerlord experience built entirely around real medieval history instead of fantasy, giving players a genuinely different way to experience a world they already know how to navigate.